A person can now buy their way through an entire day without needing anyone to know them. Food arrives at the door. Work happens through a screen. Groceries wait downstairs. Entertainment is already waiting. Even romance can begin as a notification. This is not a broken life. That is what makes it interesting. Alex wakes up in a city full of people. Outside, buses are moving, cafes are opening, elevators are filling. But inside the apartment, the day starts quietly. There is no commute, no small conversation at the corner, no familiar face at the office door. Just a laptop, a calendar, headphones, and a meeting room made of little rectangles. At noon, lunch appears at the door. Someone carried it across the city. Alex says thank you through an app. The driver disappears, the food is warm, the contact is over. Later, groceries arrive. A package arrives. A message arrives from someone nearby who might be a match. At night, the apartment becomes a cinema, then a restaurant, then a dating lobby, then an office again, because one last email came in after dinner. Nothing dramatic has happened. Just a normal day, working exactly as designed. And that is the question. What if loneliness is no longer only a private feeling? What if it is becoming part of the economic system itself? For a long time, ordinary life forced people into contact. Not always beautifully, not always fairly, but repeatedly. People saw each other because life required it. Work, shopping, neighborhoods, friends of friends, the person at the counter, the regular on the bus, the colleague you never planned to know. Modern life did not erase all of that, but it made much of it optional. Then it built industries around the option. Remote work can give people freedom. Delivery can save a tired parent, a sick person, a worker with no time. Streaming can make a quiet night easier. Dating apps can help people meet someone they never would have found otherwise. None of these things are the villain. The problem is not that convenience exists. The problem is what happens when convenience quietly replaces connection. The apartment starts to absorb the city. It becomes the office, the restaurant, the store, the theater, the place where you look for love, and the place where you recover from the search. And without one obvious decision, life becomes more private, more personalized, more efficient, and thinner. This is the loneliness economy. Not one company, not one app, not one generation. It is the pattern that appears when human needs move out of communities and into markets. The need to eat becomes delivery. The need to date becomes a platform. The need to relax becomes infinite content. The need to be seen becomes a profile. The strange thing is that many of these services work. They solve real problems. They reduce effort. They give people control. They fit around schedules that are already overloaded. That is why they spread. But markets are very good at learning from demand. If more people live alone, products are designed for one. If more people work and eat alone, businesses adapt. And if more people feel isolated, more businesses will sell something that feels close to connection. This does not mean anyone planned a lonely society. It means a lonely society becomes a market. The data is there, but it should not be the whole story. The World Health Organization has reported that about 1 in 6 people globally experience loneliness. The U.S. Surgeon General has argued that social connection should be treated less like a private luxury and more like public infrastructure. Pew found that 3 in 10 American adults have used a dating site or app. Those numbers matter. But the deeper story is not the numbers. It is the shape of the day. It is the fact that someone can be surrounded by services and still have no one expecting them. No one who notices the pattern. No one who says, "You were not there this week." No one who sees the small changes before they become big ones. Because connection is not only deep friendship, it is also weak, repetitive contact. The neighbor you nod to, the coworker who asks a boring question every morning, the place where they remember your order, the group where you are expected on Saturday. These things are inefficient. They are not always convenient. They cannot be fully optimized, and that may be why they matter. A purely convenient life removes friction, but some friction is social glue. You show up because someone expects you. You talk because you are in the same place. You help because the person is nearby. You become known because life repeats. When those repetitions disappear, the loss can be hard to name. At first, it feels like freedom. No commute, no awkward lunch, no small talk, no obligation, no one asking where you have been. But then, maybe no one asking where you have been. That is the quiet edge of the story. Loneliness does not always arrive as sadness. Sometimes it arrives as control, as comfort, as a perfectly arranged evening, as a life with fewer interruptions, and then fewer invitations, and then fewer people who can interrupt at all. For older people, this can look like independence slowly becoming invisibility. For younger people, hundreds of contacts and no one to call. For workers, flexibility with no belonging. For cities, crowded sidewalks and empty social lives. For the economy, it creates an opportunity. If people are isolated, sell convenience. If they are tired, sell relief. If they are bored, sell content. If they are single, sell possibility. If they are disconnected, sell a version of community with a monthly fee. Again, this is not evil by itself. Sometimes paid services are the only available support. Sometimes an app really does lead to love. Sometimes delivery is not laziness, but survival inside an impossible schedule. The point is not to shame the person using the system. The point is to see the system. Because once loneliness becomes profitable, there is no automatic reason for the economy to solve it. A lonely customer can be valuable. They may need more entertainment, more delivery, more self-care, more subscriptions. But a connected person may need less. They may borrow, share, walk over, cook together, ask a neighbor, join a group, stay in one place long enough to be known. That is not always good for growth, but it may be good for people. So the question is not whether technology is bad. It is not whether living alone is bad. It is not whether convenience is bad. The question is what kind of modern life we are building around those things. Can a workplace give flexibility without erasing belonging? Can a city make room for people to meet without buying something first? Can a society treat connection as infrastructure, not decoration? Late at night, Alex puts the phone down. The apartment is quiet again. The city is still full. Somewhere nearby, people are laughing in a restaurant. A delivery driver is waiting at a light. A neighbor is closing a door. None of these people are far away. But modern loneliness is not always about distance. Sometimes it is about design. We built a world where life can come to us. The harder question is whether anyone still expects us to come back.